A lot of people have been asking me about my home studio creator station workstation setup that I've been working on in various configurations since really when we got locked down during the pandemic. So it's been through several versions, but this is where how I'm set up today. So the base of this whole setup is a sit stand desk on casters from a company called iMover. I did a lot of research on these sit stand desks and found that the cheap ones have a lot of issues and frequently don't support very much weight. So when I was thinking about how much stuff I really intended to ultimately put on this desk and what sort of performance I expected in terms of speed and noise and reliability and all of that, these seem like the right value. There's other good companies out there, but I've been really impressed with this one. You can see how fast it moves, super smooth, even though I've got a ton of stuff on here. It goes back up to the standing position in very little time at all. So I've really enjoyed it quite a bit. And the microphone is turned toward me, but hopefully you can kind of hear how quiet it is. I never really have issues with it being too noisy, and the noise isn't offensive to me in any way. So the main powerhouse of this whole setup is my main desktop PC. It's a Dell XPS special edition. Not crazy spec. It's like an i7 from last year with 32 gigs of RAM and a pretty decent NVIDIA graphics card. So I don't really do a lot of gaming, although I could have a decent gaming experience on this PC. I use it mostly for creative type activities in Photoshop, Lightroom, Premiere Pro. So it's performed very well for me since then. I also have a companion Dell XPS laptop that I take when I need to be mobile. So my main monitors are these two larger ones are from Dell. The middle one is the Dell 34-inch ultra wide QHD. So it's not 4K, but it's sharper than a 1080p monitor, and I find that it's a decent compromise. The secondary one is a 27-inch regular 16:9 aspect ratio, and the reason that I really like this one is, or the reason I have it mounted this way is that in Photoshop and in Lightroom, it's really nice to be able to blow up a photo that's a portrait image in order to see it in bigger detail while I'm editing. And since I mostly do portrait photography, that's how I prefer to have that set up. But it also just takes up less space on the desk, which is nice. My third monitor is quite a bit different. This one's actually set up as a teleprompter, and it's not a standard computer monitor. It's actually a field monitor for a camera, like you might use for doing videography. The big upside with this is that it does hardware flip. In software, just in the screen attributes, you can rotate your screen, which is what I've done over here on this one, which is nice. But this one actually has a mirror because it's a teleprompter. So the ability to flip it horizontally and not have to try to get the computer to control that is really nice. So it just becomes an extension of my desktop, but it sits right in front of the camera. And this camera is a Panasonic GH5 that I have connected into the ATEM Mini. This is the Pro version, the ATEM Mini Pro. So that intake, it actually acts, like a cam link, but with some additional features. So I use this rather than the cam link. But the cool thing about having this teleprompter set up on my desk is it gives me the capability around a couple things. One is sort of eye contact video conferencing if I want to be really particular about that. But the best part is for doing, presentations and recording content, because then you can see your content or your script on the screen while you're recording without, while you're still staring directly into the camera lens, which is nice. So that's connected via HDMI over to the ATEM Mini, but it's also connected via USB into the computer directly. So I can actually control the camera using the desktop application. Now, it can be kind of fussy for, day-to-day use to have to make sure that the camera's on, it's connected, and all this other stuff is working properly. So I also use USB cameras, which are fine if you get good ones. And these are a couple of the good ones on the market from Logitech. This is their Brio camera, and Elgato's Facecam. Both of these, I think, since I bought these, have upgraded versions of these. I think there's like a Facecam 2 or a Facecam Pro out right now, which I've heard really good things about, but I don't know that it's really in my interest to buy another webcam when I already have this many. So from an audio perspective, I primarily use this Rode NT1 microphone, which I have mounted on this boom arm, so I can bring it down here in front of me, but it gets in the way. So when I'm not using it, I'm able to push it back up. Now, there's contention about what people really ought to be using on a workstation in terms of microphones. And there's a lot of microphones on the market, so people have their preferences. I like the way that my voice sounds on this microphone. So there's that. It's not a dynamic microphone, which is what a lot of people use for broadcasting and streaming, which is nice, but you get that more kind of canned broadcasty sound, and I'm not in love with how that sounds, especially for my voice. So I use the Rode NT1. I also like the fact that you don't need to be right up on it the way that you do with a dynamic mic, like let's say like a Shure SM7B. And I don't really prefer to have the microphone in my face when I'm on camera. So I choose to use this. What I found is that because it's fairly sensitive and it's a condenser microphone, it really helped to add some of this acoustic material around here. So I've got a panel that's behind the desk. There's one up above as well. I use this waffle cloud that sucks up a lot of sound. And then this whole curtain is actually a sound blanket. So it does a good job of absorbing sound as well. The extra bonus with the curtain is that because of the white side here, I get some fill reflection when I'm using my lights. So if I'm looking at the camera right here, I'm not lit on the right side. So I'm getting some reflection to fill in those shadows in the image. And I like the way that it looks, and it's convenient versus like trying to put another light over here. Speaking of lights, I am running 3 Elgato lights. 2 of these are Elgato key lights, and the middle one is their ring light. My usual broadcast setup is just to use the 2 key lights, and I just leave the ring light off because I don't really need it, and I don't like looking right at it because it's right behind my cameras. I mostly only turn it on when I want to use the side-mounted camera, because it kind of creates, with all 3 lights, it's almost like I have one big light. So I like, the way that it fills in a little bit better. I could take it off and, potentially use it with my phone or something else. And, but that's the way it's set up right now. And let's see, then getting into my other tools here. The laptop docks on this little tray down here, which I like because it keeps it off the desktop and out of my way. Desks can get very cluttered very quickly, so I tried to do everything I could to mount stuff underneath. I've also mounted all the cabling and the power strip and everything below the computer as neatly as I could. It's a little challenging. But the laptop also connects to this docking station back here, which connects it to the monitors. So there's not a bunch of fussing around when I want to connect my laptop to be able to use it. And it gets power and data over a single cord into that docking station. This is just the interface to my microphone. And this is a Jabra speakerphone that is connected to the laptop because my main microphone and speakers are connected to my desktop. So rather than trying to like switch things out, if there's some reason that I need to make a call using my laptop, I'll just use this speakerphone. If I'm worried about quality and creation, then I'm usually on my desktop anyway. So for audio output, I have a couple options. I use these iLoud micro monitors, which give you like a flatter sound. So it's more realistic in terms of how things actually sound. So when you're recording and doing voice work and making videos, it's really better to have, more of a reference monitor type of speaker, as well as, similar kind of headphones. If I really want to listen to something carefully, then I make sure to use those. Or if I'm, very concerned with feedback into the microphone from the speakers or something like that, and I want to be able to monitor my own vocal performance while I'm recording, that's really handy. My third audio out option is this little pair of Shure stage monitors, which are almost invisible. So I'm able to use those to monitor audio if I just really want like a no headphones look, but I don't want any speaker feedback getting into the mic. Then in terms of inputs and peripherals, I like this Logitech MX Master Series stuff. Mechanical keyboards are nice, and sometimes some people like those. I've been pretty comfortable with this one. I think it was like $100. It's not too bad, but very nice keyboard. It's I've had Logitech keyboards that I liked in the past, but I like this one better. And I've been very comfortable with this MX3 mouse as well. In terms of comfortability with the size of my hand and everything. Operates very smooth, has nice inputs, and both of these have the nice feature where they'll switch between your systems. They'll connect to multiple devices via Bluetooth, and you just switch them using a button. So you don't have to like go play with those little dongles and all that stuff. My secondary mouse, I don't use that much. It's from Gyration. It's actually an air mouse, so you can use it without a flat surface. I used it more in bigger presentation type environments, but I have made videos where I used it while I was, recording something, and I didn't want to be close enough to the desk to mess with the mouse, or I wanted, to be able to hold it down at my side and get more of like a natural movement with it. This one's the little Elgato Stream Deck. I don't use it that much. It's handy sometimes. You can program little hotkeys and stuff into it. I think it's designed more for streamers, like gaming streamers, which is a lot of Elgato's market, because they have the need to be able to do all kinds of different little things while they're playing a video game. So being able to interact with the chat and create sound effects and do various little things to control OBS and stuff like that is nice for them. But for the kind of things that I've done in like professional live streaming and work conferencing and stuff like that, it doesn't get that much use. I kind of feel the same way about the ATEM Mini. It's a little overkill, especially since I don't have multiple cameras set up, but it does what it needs to do, and it has some nice features as well. My other input device over here is my Wacom tablet that works with the pen. This is a great tool for photographers and retouchers. You get a lot finer control when you're working in Photoshop using the pen because it has pressure sensitivity versus using a mouse, which can be a little bit clunky. So that's how I have it set up currently. I may always, make some additional upgrades, maybe a top-down camera if I wanted to show, something on my desktop, maybe upgrade to 4K monitors, maybe get nicer cameras at some point. But, overall, it's pretty complete in terms of, the capability. It's very easy for me to get on and have a well-illuminated video conference experience that's good quality and presents professionally with, zero setup time. Um, so my day-to-day video presence on camera for, meetings is generally much better than almost everybody, which is nice. Uh, so that's how I have things set up with this workstation, and I hope that was helpful. And thanks for watching.